Hello everyone, welcome back to this video series on how to make a car in Autodesk Fusion 360. So apologies, this video was actually meant to come out on Thursday. Unfortunately, I was working on a different project which unfortunately was not successful, but that's okay, we always learn. I was requested to do a specific model for somebody and I did it, but they didn't see their end through and it was done in quite a misleading and disrespectful manner. So just a word out there, please be kind and sincere when you approach somebody for some work or you approach somebody to do some work for you. When you say you're going to do something, please see it through. A lot of effort goes into these things and it's a bit upsetting when somebody tries to take advantage of you or anyone who's working hard and trying to do this sincerely. So please be kind, please be thoughtful, and please be sincere. And yeah, please show some gratitude to everybody that you're learning from. All right, that aside, let's get back into this video. So in the previous tutorial, we ended somewhere over here where we saw that we had created this surface here as well as this surface here. And we said that we're going to continue with this side profile over here, which might be actually extending all the way to the back. Now, before I actually start this tutorial, there is one thing I would like to do. Currently, if I go to the front view, all we can see is the front view and the front blueprint of the Mercedes. However, we actually now need to get the back blueprint in. So you can import the back blueprint if you haven't already done that from the first tutorial, which looks like this. But this is also a little bit confusing because we still have the front section over here, but we have the back blueprint. So what I like to do personally is I just like to go to the front section. So let's just hide it for clarity's sake. And we can see, let's go to the front section. And what I like to do is I'm just going to highlight these surfaces here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say hide. So I know the surfaces are there, but I've hidden them for now. So when I bring the blueprint back, it looks like we can work with the back blueprint now. And there's nothing else sort of illusioning us from doing something else. Okay, so now we can go ahead and start with the surfacing here. So one thing I noticed was that if we look at the image of a Mercedes from the back of this particular model, we can see that, let me just zoom in a bit more here. We can see that it starts to sort of curve somewhere around here. So let's say from there, it sort of curves inwards and goes towards the back. And then if we have a look at this line over here, if you're following my mouse, if you look at this, what we're seeing here is a sort of a smooth curve, but then it sort of goes inwards. So it sort of comes in like this, and then it goes inwards. So the way I would like to strategize and make this is we cut off whatever surface we have using this line over here. And then we can make another surface using this line here. So it would sort of come in the same way as this is. And then we sort of stop it with this line here. And this is just me trying to maintain continuity, but at the same time, also see how we can segment the different surfaces, because over here, things start to look a little bit different. So let's go back to Fusion and see what that might look like. So again, this is that line over here. That line on the blueprint we can use to cut off this surface. Then we can create the remaining of this surface here. And then we can make the surface all the way from here that extends till the back till this point here. Again, for now, just ignore the headlights because eventually we'll make a cutout of the headlight like we did for the front section a few tutorials ago. Okay, cool. So I'm going to start by making a sketch on the right plane. And from here, I'm just going to draw a straight line because it's relatively straight. So I'm just going to go from here to here, finish the sketch. And now I'm going to use the trim tool. I'm going to use that as the trim tool. And I want to take this surface away and press OK. There we have it, plain and simple. So we've done this a few times before. And there we have it. The next thing I would like to do, as I said, is make this one over here. Again, please feel free to pause the video and actually try it out yourself. And if you do something differently, please let me know. It would be nice to see. Okay, so let's do that. Create a right sketch on the right plane. And I'm going to create a fit point spline in 3D space. So attach it there. And I actually want to bring this all the way down here. And the reason why I'm doing this now is because we can then reuse this arc that we're about to make for the later sketches as well. So I'm just going to now move this. So again, really just following things that we've already done before. Cool. And now if I just go back to the right backside, you can see that the line we've drawn is obviously because we've drawn it on from one point and then it took it as a straight plane. But what we want to do is we want to add some curvature because we can start seeing somewhere here that there's going to be some curvature. So actually I can press M on my keyboard and actually move this a little bit inside, right? So that point that we created over here. So all I've done is I've just moved it inside a little bit. And now I want to add a bit of curvature by taking this outside a little bit. So if I just do that, there we go, press OK. And there we have it. So that's a nice little curve that we've created. Okay, and now all I want to do is I want to join this one with this one. So I'm going to press fit point spline, go from there to somewhere there. And I'm just going to move this point a little bit closer to where it's supposed to be. So press M on my keyboard, maneuver, press enter. And I think I want to move this tangent. So press M on my keyboard, go down a bit. And there we have it. Cool. So as you'll notice, because this was one single sketch, what we actually need to do in order to use this properly is to split it over here. So let's do that. I'm going to use modify, break, and I'm going to break it over here. And you can see now, if I press escape, this has now been split into 1 and 2 sections. Now, obviously, what we need to do is either loft or patch this section over here. So we need 1, 2, 3, and 4. And obviously, the ideal thing to do here would be to go back to the sketch that created that surface, copy paste the sketch from there, and then break it. So then we can use that section over there, that section there, that section there, and that section there. But in this case, we can actually do a little bit of a shortcut. We can use a loft tool. So if I finish sketch, we can use the loft tool to loft this and this together, and then use that and that as the guide rail. And the reason why this might actually work is because a loft just needs 2 sections to loft together. And then it can use any other continuous surface between the points to create a smoother geometry. So let's try it out. So let's do create, loft. We want to loft from here to here. And you can see by default, all it's done is found the path that is the least distance from that point to that point and from that point to that point. Makes sense. But we actually wanted to follow this one and this one here. So I'm going to click on the rails. I'm going to click on that one there. And another one here, and you can see now it's closely following that path there. I'm going to go ahead and press OK. And there we have it. It's created this beautiful curve. I can see a little bit of a problem that it's not really hugging that blueprint. Let's go back and change it just a little bit. So if I press M, and I'm just going to drag this down very slightly. Oops. Seems like my Fusion is acting up a little bit today. Let's press OK and see what happens. Okay, that's a little bit better, but my Fusion is lagging for some reason. Okay, so now that that's done, we can now go ahead and create this section over here, which is actually a little bit tricky. So let's try it out. What I'd like to do is draw a spline from this point here to somewhere there. And then I will also maneuver that point in 3D space to bring it about here. And then I also want to somehow create a spline from there till somewhere there. And then we need to connect it all together. So if that doesn't make sense yet, don't worry, just follow along. But do try this out yourself first. Very, very important to practice this. So create sketch. Let's take the spline tool. And now I'm going to create a point from there to somewhere over here. And the reason why, again, because I want it there is because you can see this line that's going to start separating it in. And remember, as I said, ignore the headlights for now. Okay, so let's go to the top view and pull this point into place. So I will now take this somewhere here. Oops, my bad. This should actually be somewhere here. So that makes sense. Cool. And we can also just double check this from the back side to see if it lands up in a similar position. And it does. Let me just move a little bit more to that space. Press OK. Go to the top and okay. Seems like that didn't. Okay, so you see a problem here is that from the top view, it wants to end up somewhere here, and that's actually correct. But now if I want to move this a little bit, just a little bit to the 10. Okay, that's fine. That was not a problem. That was completely fine. So yeah, now this point aligns in all 3 dimensions, which is nice. Now let's add some curvature to this. So I'm going to click on this. I want to activate, so just the green line, right click, activate tangent handle, press M on the keyboard. Oops, looks like I selected the wrong one. And that's fairly common. It will happen from time to time, not to worry. Just undo, make sure you clicked on the green dot and then press M. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see, but my Fusion is actually, feels like stuttering a little bit. Okay, so once more, I just want to add a little bit more curvature here, press OK. Cool, I'm just going to go ahead and press save. Cool, now that we have that in place, the next thing I want to do is add a little bit more curvature here. So we want to create a point from here to here. And remember in the last sketch, we had created a little bit of an arc. So let's copy that arc, hide it back, and paste it in this one. So there we have it. And what I want to do now is, again, a fit point spline from somewhere here to there. So let's do that. So from somewhere on the arc, go to the right, and somewhere there. So all I've done is I've just attached a new point on this arc that we had created from the previous sketch, and I copied that one in. So just add a little bit of curvature here. Go to the top view, and we can align this now into its place. So I gotta admit, it's usually easier to maneuver the 2 individual points before you start dealing with the tangents. And this sort of helps with a little bit of clarity as to how the end product might look. So let's go ahead and press OK for now. And let's see if this looks correct from the side. It does, and look at that, it's actually landed in a pretty good position. So maybe all I have to do is just pull this down very little, maybe like that, and press OK. So it's created that geometry there. And again, we have to break this. So I'm going to do modify break. And again, it's split that surface. So we've got one there and one there, which is perfect. And so we've got our 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we somehow have to connect from here to here. And the easiest way to do this is actually to create a little bit of a vertical line over here. So you can do that again using a spline. So fit point spline, attach it there. And what you can do when you get this axis, you can see that if I just try and hover vertically above it, it'll snap to this green dotted line, which is actually what we need. We need it to be exactly vertical. And now you can just press M on your keyboard and drag this down a little bit. And there we have it. Okay, now the only thing that remains is to join up this one and this one. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll let us patch it. So let's do fit point spline, and from there to there. So just take it slow, make sure every spline you create is correct in its own dimension. And then when it comes to patch, hopefully 9 times out of 10 in that case, it will work. So I'm just going to now activate tangent handle. And there we go. And another one here. Whoa, okay, Fusion is really not happy today. But that's okay. This is not the first time. Cool, and now let's press OK. All right, there we have it. So we've created this sort of complex geometry over here, which we're now going to use as a form of patching. So let's finish the sketch. Surface, patch, and let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Beautiful. Guys, I have to tell you, when a patch works, I become very happy. So I'm just going to press OK. And what we can see here is, if we go to the right, this is following that really beautifully. Of course, I think we have to edit the sketch a very little bit just to make sure that works. If you go to the right, if you go to the back view, we can see that that's following it very beautifully there. And now if you go to the top view, that does look a little bit strange. And my suspicion is with this. Yeah, that makes sense. So what we also need to do is connect that . So we had forgotten to, there we go, that would make much more sense. So this is nice, right? Because I'm making mistakes and we're figuring it out together. So press OK. And it's sort of like live troubleshooting, because I feel like these mistakes are so common that sometimes things might look right in 1 or 2 dimensions, but not in the third one. And this is a nice way to just troubleshoot it. So let's have a look at how that might look like. You can see that even this one looks a little bit strange. So what I'm going to do is try and follow from there to there, just so that it's following that curve, just like that. Let's press finish sketch. That looks much better. So you can see what has happened is that in my mind, I was so worried about the patch working or not working that I forgot to actually maneuver some of the tangent points in the third dimension. But that's all right. The happiness from the patch was worth it. Okay, we can see we need to probably edit a little bit more. So we can go ahead and put this move a little bit more to the right. Or maybe have this tangent, working it in a little bit like that. And press OK. Press finish sketch. So again, looks good from here. Looks almost decent from here. And it looks good from here. So what we really need to do at this point is just play around till we get that tangent right. So you can see from here it's perfect. From here it's almost perfect. But from here there's a little bit of, modifying that we can do. So I'm going to just play around with this till I get it just right. Again, because we just maneuvered the tangents from here and we did it sort of left and right, one thing we can try out is when we do it from here, we just do it in and out. So instead of doing it like this, which might actually change it from the back side as well, instead of doing that, what we'll do is we'll just do it in and out from that perspective. So I'm just going to do this like this. And this one, we can do it a little bit like that. Okay, and I have another idea in mind which we could try. So that looks nice to me. But another idea we can try is that little point there can actually be moved ever so slightly inside. not by 10, but just a little bit. So let's make that -5, press OK. And now let's see what happens. Cool, that's perfect. So yeah, sometimes you just got to try it out like this, see what works in 1, 2, and 3 dimensions. Remembering the trick that I've been using for the past few tutorials is that in one plane, if you might be doing left and right, and you do the same thing from the top, left and right, they're going to affect each other. But if you're doing in and out from here, and in the other plane, you're doing it in a different dimension, even though it's the same tangent, you're actually maneuvering it in 2 different dimensions. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you very much. And hopefully next week we can do another YouTube live instead of the one that was meant to be done today. And I'll make a post about the Patreon projects. Hopefully I'll get some input from you all. I'm really, really looking forward to doing those things. All right, thank you very much. Have a great day, and I'll hopefully see you very, very soon. Thank you. Take care.